Bitcoin continues to see extreme volatility, with pumps to the upside hitting new higher highs on the hourly chart and immediately dumping down in the early hours of this morning. I'm going to be reviewing the price action of BTC on the daily, hourly, and weekly time frame, sharing my thoughts and opinions on what is going on with the price action. As I get into today's video, go ahead and smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right down into the charts. So here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 hour Binance chart to start with here. So as we can see, we have a new higher high coming in here on the daily, on the hourly time frame, right? So our previous swing high was 2200 hours on Friday, the 23rd. We come up last night at the 2300 hour UTC candle, coming in on a high just up there at $65,000 flat. Okay, so we know that we have a new higher high just here, 65,000. It's still falling short of our expected range, which is actually 65,044 up to 66,128. We can see that we've had a bit of a pull to the downside. We lost the support of the 50 SMA, the yellow line, but finding support on that 50 EMA, the blue line. We are currently bouncing to the upside at the moment. To me, this looks like we are still progressing upwards. I don't think we're finished with this move to the upside just yet. There is this really interesting pocket as well just in here. This is a huge kind of area, say huge, it's a kind of small time frame area of support and demand. This is basically where the buyers are finding value at the moment. This, for the reference of today's video, is $63,773 to $63,868. Okay, so from here, we will be looking for a bit of a progression to the upside. Our stochastic RSI is also seeing a positive cross, with the yellow line being the stochastic RSI and the white line being the smoothing of K. The smoothing of K is basically your glorified moving average of the stochastic RSI, and it is showing us now a positive bullish cross. So we are going to be looking for momentum shifting back to the upside. Our targeted range, of course, still remains very much true. Where this hasn't changed, we are going to be looking for that 65,044 up to the 66, and we can see here that if we were to kind of see a 1-to-1 ratio kind of playing out, 65,250 to 65,612, that's going to be the area of interest for me. But ultimately, we're just looking for that extra little push to the upside. This should be a fifth wave movement, in my opinion. But looking at everything here, it does show some interesting things, specifically with the idea of a potential ending diagonal. Okay, an ending diagonal structure is vastly different to that of your kind of standard fifth wave movements, which would still be 5 waves in themselves, but an ending diagonal has different parameters. There's also the possibility for a different type of diagonal to play out here, showing this one as a bit of an expansion. So we might see an expanding diagonal within this pattern. For that, the next move should be larger than the first one, or actually be the biggest wave, I should say. So if we go ahead and measure the distance here, so this is our wave 1 in that particular scenario. Here we can see that wave 3 is larger, but the fifth wave move should be even larger than what we see here, indicating that we end up in that kind of diagonal based pattern. Okay, it would look something to this effect: wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then finally fifth wave. Now the parameters for this are that wave 4 cannot drop down lower than the low of wave 2. Okay, so if we go ahead and snap that on there and come in here, you can see that wave 4 has not gone down deeper than that original wave 2 low. Okay, so that makes it a viable wave 4. And then of course we'll look for an explosive move to the upside that has to exceed the larger move here of the wave 3. Okay, so we will be looking for that targeted range, and we will be looking for above, basically as long as we hit 65,044, we know we're good, basically. Okay, so that's one possibility here, that we end up with this kind of expanding diagonal. The ending diagonal has different parameters associated with it, and I'm not seeing those moves just yet, but it's possible. So we should go ahead and talk about where that possibility does lie. That would actually lie with us moving above 66,180. For that, we have to hit a 1.618, but it has to be consistent with 3-wave structures. So you have your first 3 waves here. We then look for a big 3-wave move to the upside here. Okay, so we'll go for something like this, where we hit 166,180. Then we move down in another 3-wave move and then finish it off with a final 3-wave structure. Okay, this is basically your ending diagonal, which would look like this. Wave 4 is allowed to intersect with wave 1. Wave 3 must be 1.618 times wave 1. And other than that, everything else kind of falls in line with your typical kind of 5-wave structures. So for the most part, we are tracking 2 different possibilities here for Bitcoin. With this swing high at the moment, the only alternative to a bearish scenario would be that we are in a irregular or running flat correction, but we aren't seeing the 5-wave drop that you'd have to see. So I don't think that's a concern at this stage either. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I don't think the bearish situation is one to pay terribly too much attention to at this point in time. That may change in the next 24, 48 hours. And of course, I'm going to be keeping these videos live on YouTube every single day so you guys get an idea as to kind of where the price action is heading. Throw smart money concepts into the mix, and we can see there's still some fair value gaps. Not too concerned about those at this stage. I think we'll get them at some other point down the line. And we still do have a weak high. Okay, so we're still in bullish territory, weak high. But all of these red areas, they are basically being a bit of resistance for the price action on the 1-hour time frame. Okay, so you want to be aware of that. For the most part, I'm not too concerned about it. So just keep a close eye on, what happens with the price action. At the moment, we're doing okay. I'm not too concerned. We are looking for that little push higher into the range that we've been talking about, $65,044 to $66,128. And of course, if we do break out above that, then of course we're going to have the shot for the 68K range, in my opinion, at some point in the future. But for now, we know that's what we're looking for. Okay, so stochastic RSI is looking good, looking for progression to the upside. Our relative strength index, which is coming in here, showing that there is some bearish divergence being shown, and that's as we kind of have this blow off top. So we had this drop. That's now not really a problem, I don't think. We see momentum reversing a little bit on the 1-hour time frame. So interestingly, yeah, I'm not too concerned about any of that. Volume profiles were decreasing here. So again, showing some weakness right now, but we are 4 a.m. UTC. So that could be a problem. We'll see whether or not the market's open a little bit later and actually bring in some more buying demand. But for now, yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at on BTC on the 1-hour time frame. Let's roll this up into our daily time frame. You can see our range here. We are, of course, hitting some resistance, right? And we have to acknowledge this. Look at these wicks right here and the candles. These candles are telling us that the market can't decide to push pump up or to dump down, okay? And so we want to be really cautious here, because when we get a confirmed candle, specifically when we see these types of dojo candles, we can be looking for engulfing candles. Engulfing candles are ones that could potentially engulf the previous candle, and you get them in bullish scenarios or in bearish scenarios. So we're going to be looking for any kind of confirmation of a break to the upside. I'm a little cautious with dojo candles, but we can see that there's a lot of volatility being experienced when it comes to Bitcoin on the daily time frame. But we have progressed quite nicely so far, in line with those kind of expectations of this lower highs and lower lows breakout that we've been talking about. Now, all of this on the daily time frame is good and everything, but we are, of course, up in this overbought territory, and we are looking for that drop to the downside, right? That drop is going to be in line with the Federal Reserve pivot, in my opinion. Okay, that might split opinions, but that's kind of where I currently sit with this one. And we are looking for $40,000 to $44,000. That's going to be where I think the value is going to be had. This could be quick. It might not be quick. I don't know. I can't time the market. What I do and can tell you is that the historical price patterns of BTC are telling me that we are likely to see this drop to the downside. The overlapping nature of everything that we've seen here is also an indication that this is a short-term move, meaning that once we have this drop, I expect us to then start rallying very significantly. And if the Federal Reserve do in fact pivot and cut their interest rates in September, there will be a knee-jerk reaction in the market, which I do think the market is trying to price in, but I don't think they're going to get it right. And this move to the upside since August 5th is basically just that relief little rally before you get those profits taken, and we drop down into those lows. Bearing in mind we already tapped $49,000 with the previous August 5th low, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect $44,000 in the next drop. It might feel really painful for many, but this is something that we've been expecting for quite some time. So to me, it's not that unusual or something to be unexpected. Now, for the most part, I think that that's going to mark the end of of this correction, and I think we're going to see a fantastic run to the upside. But, we'll see. We're probably about a month or so out from actually seeing a lot of this stuff come to fruition. I would love to be wrong on all of this, of course. I would love the market to pump rather than to dump. But historically, when the Federal Reserve cut their interest rates, we see the stock market S&P 500 react negatively. Now, of course, there's been a bit of, early warning in terms of the Federal Reserve pivot. You've already seen Warren Buffett, selling off so much. We've seen, the likes of Jeff Bezos and so many of these other billionaires, Elon Musk and so forth, selling off their assets for the last several months or so. This is a precursor to kind of what is coming. Now, we've already seen the ECB, the Bank of England, already cut their rates. And so we're just waiting on the Federal Reserve to kind of show their hand. Now, the market could be trying to price that in. I don't think they'll get it 100% right. And I am looking for this drop towards $40,000 to kind of finish off all of that. Obviously, cutting the interest rates is incredibly bullish, but they only tend to do it when the liquidity in the market is at its worst. All of this that we've been talking about for the last little while is all about liquidity extraction, and you can see it time and time and time again, right? So we're looking for more liquidity extraction as the market is illiquid at the moment. Hence, you can see these moments of really low volumes pushing the price of Bitcoin higher. It's very irregular. It's not normally what you would expect to see. So all in all, I'm looking to finish off this move to the upside in the next kind of couple of weeks or so. And then I'm going to be looking for Bitcoin to move down lower than the swing low of the 5th of August as we start to see panic set into the market. But all of that is a part of a much bigger macro piece, which is on the weekly chart here, where we are looking for 2025 to be an incredibly bullish time for Bitcoin. We're going to be looking for Bitcoin to rally up into six figures, 100K more. I think we have the potential now to be pushing and bordering $130,000 to $135,000 per BTC. So it's going to be an interesting time. I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think the market's kind of reacting as expected with everything that's going on. And yeah, we have some nice bullish targets for Bitcoin in the kind of longer term. By the end of 2025, I think we will have seen Bitcoin well and over $100,000. Now you guys can let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on all of this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where do you sit when it comes to the BTC price action? And if you haven't done so yet, guys, check out my second channel just up here where I go through the Cardano technical analysis every single day.